episode 12.
Episode 12.
I had to fucking figure that out today. I was just telling you.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where we're going to start losing track.
Yeah. I guess we should have done a milestone at 10. What was 10?
That'd have been the Murdaugh.
Was it
Murdoch.
Murdaugh or Juice? Murdaugh. No, Juice.
Was it Juice?
Yep, it was Juice.
Nice little milestone.
Yep. Do another milestone at 20. Today's episode, we are getting back into some music. Past two music episodes we've done have been kind of on the hip-hop rap
Side of
genre.
things, yeah. Yep.
We're going way back into the 70s, 80s
Yep.
with this one, with the greatest group, I think, of all time. A lot of people say, like, Queen and Kiss. I think it's the Eagles.
Numbers don't lie.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
So today's episode is going to be like a lot of, we could have, like, done just like an improv, but I didn't want to I didn't want to take anything away. I didn't want to just dumb it down, especially this episode.
Yeah, and they got a lot of history, so it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to just improv it. We do that a lot. We get to skipping back and forth, and you miss a lot of stuff, and stuff slips through the cracks.
Yeah, for our listeners that really love the intricate episodes that really dive into super, super minute details, this is the one. It's a long one. It's a long reading one, so just
bear with us.
Plug in the AirPods and just jam out or whatever the fuck you do. But before we get into it, like the socials, subscribe, follow.
Do all that stuff.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You want to lead us or you want me to go into it?
I can lead us.
Cool.
All right. The Eagles had their origin in early 1971 when Linda Ronstadt and her manager John Boylan recruited musicians Glenn Frey and Don Henley for their band. Henley had moved to Los Angeles from Texas with his band Shiloh to record an album produced by Kenny Rogers. And Frey had come from Michigan and formed Long Branch Penny Whistle, and the two met in 1970 at the Troubadour in Los Angeles and became acquainted through their mutual record label, Amos Records. Randy Meisner, who had been working with Ricky Nelson's background band, the Stone Canyon Band, and Bertie Ledden, a veteran of the Flying Burrito Brothers, also later joined Ronstadt's group of performers for her summer tour promoting the Silk Purse album.
You just kind of see it all like Infinity Stone type shit just gathering together.
That was one thing. Like I've been a huge Eagles fan. It was one of my dad's favorite bands, my mom's favorite bands growing up. So I've always heard their music. And
I'm a big fan of their music, but like you're like a really, really big fan.
And they all kind of like, it's kind of crazy how they formed because they were all kind of doing their own thing and semi like successful groups, and that just didn't ever really take off. And then they come together and just produce this super group, man.
Super group.
Yeah.
While on tour with Ronstadt, Frey and Henley decided to form a band together and informed Ronstadt of their intention. Frey later credited Ronstadt with suggesting Ledden for the band and arranging for Ledden to play for her so Frey and Henley could approach him about forming a band together. They also pitched the idea to Meisner and brought him on board. These four played live together behind Ronstadt only once for a July concert at Disneyland, but all four appeared on her self-titled album. It was later proposed that J.D. Souther, I can't believe I just said DJ. J.D. Souther should join the band, but Meisner objected. The four were signed in September 1971 to Asylum Records, the new label started by David Geffen, who was introduced to Frey by Jackson Browne. Geffen brought out Frey and Henley's contracts with Amos Records and sent the four to Aspen, Colorado, to develop as a band. Anytime I see Aspen, Colorado, I just think of Dumb and Dumber.
Every time.
every
it's not
time.
frozen your nose.
Aspen. Having not settled on a band name yet, they performed their first show in October 1971 under the name of Teen King and the Emergencies at a club called The Gallery in Aspen. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Teen King and the Emergencies.
And that was one thing, too, like Jackson Browne, J.D. Souther, Glenn Frey, and Don Henley all kind of, when they actually met, they all, Jackson Browne and Glenn and, like I said, all four of them, they actually lived together for a while. And that's really where they, like, started becoming, like, really good songwriters. They actually kind of started taking from Jackson Browne, who was, I think, obviously one of the more successful at the time out of all four of them.
Insane.
And they just kind of, he lived actually under them in like an apartment, like in their basement, and they just heard how he would wake up every morning and play his piano and just grind out songs, just play them over and over again.
What a time to be alive, man.
Yeah, and how everybody it was kind of like a gold rush out there in the 70s to go out to California and become a musician.
Kind of like what Nashville is today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1.
You don't even have to fucking. I'm not even gonna cut it. We were just
Just
the
right
last
there.
episode we did,
Just
bro. It was
went
just
smooth.
straight non-slip shit.
All right, well, fuck us.
Usually the 3-2-1 shit is like when we have all of us
All right.
fucking just making sure everybody's on the same page type shit. Me and you can just rock the shit.
All right. The idea of naming the band Eagles came during a peyote and tequila-influenced group outing in the Mojave Desert. However, accounts of the origin of the name vary. Don Felder, who had yet to join the Eagles and was not at the desert, credited Ledden with originating the name when he recalled reading about the Hopus reverence for the eagle, while Sothers suggested that the idea came when Fry shouted "Eagles" when they saw eagles flying above. Steve Martin, a friend of the band from the early days at the Troubadour, recounts in his autobiography that he suggested that they should be referred to as the Eagles, but Fry insisted that the group's name is simply Eagles. Geffen and partner Elliot Roberts initially managed the band. They were later replaced by Irving Azoff while the Eagles were recording their third album.
Steve Martin.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder how they met, like Steve Martin. That was kind of crazy.
They said it was the Troubadour.
Oh, yeah,
Their
I did
days
say
at
that,
the
didn't
Troubadour.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The group's self-titled debut album was recorded in England in February 1972 with producer Glenn Johns. Johns was impressed by the harmony singing of the band, and he has been credited with shaping the band into the, quote, the country rock band with those high-flying harmonies. That's a really good way to fucking describe them. Released on June 1st, 1972, Eagles was a breakthrough success, yielding 3 top 40 singles. The first single and lead track, Take It Easy, Fire, was a song written by Fry and his neighbor and fellow country folk rocker Jackson Brown. Brown had written the first verse of the song, but got stalled on the second verse after the line, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Fry completed the verse, and Brown carried on to finish the song. The song reached number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was followed by the bluesy Witchy Woman and the soft country rock ballad Peaceful Easy Feeling, charting at number 9 and number 22 respectively. The group were one of the support acts for Yes on their Close to the Edge tour.
That's kind of crazy too. Like at first when Glenn Johns heard him, he actually passed on him the first time, and he ended up taking a meeting with him and had him in like a rehearsal setting, and he just still didn't get it. Wasn't really. He even said it in one of the documentaries I watched that he just wasn't impressed at all by him. And then they did a little harmony song where it was like a cappella, and it was Bernie Ledden, Glenn Fry, and Randy Meisner singing. And he was like, "This is it. This is the sound right here."
Just the way they sound, just no instruments, just a cappella harmony is just. I think that documentary opens up with them just doing that shit.
Yep. It's what song was it? Can't think of it off the top.
Was it Take It Easy?
No, it was something Road. I can't even remember what the fuck the name of the song is off the top of my head for some reason. I'm drawing a blank right now. But yeah, kind of crazy how, Glenn Johns, who recorded the Stones and recorded Led Zeppelin, didn't really get it at first, but then
It was just a weird time of that genre. It was like a new genre.
Yeah. It was the start of that Southern California
like
sound.
Seeger was coming up at the time.
Yep. Yeah, he actually had a big part in getting Glenn Fry started.
Yep.
He started making music with him. He sang backup on a couple of his tracks on one of his albums. Yeah. All right, on we go. Did I skip? I think I skipped.
Their second album.
Okay. Their second album, Desperado, took Old West Outlaws for its theme, drawing comparisons between their lifestyles and modern rock stars. During these recording sessions, Henley and Fry began collaborating. They wrote 8 of the album's 11 songs, including Tequila Sunrise and Desperado, 2 of the group's most popular songs. The album was less successful than the first, reaching only number 41 on the U.S. Billboard Top 200, and yielding 2 singles, Tequila Sunrise, which reached number 61 on the Billboard Hot 100, and Outlaw Man, which peaked at number 59. With Henley and Fry co-writing the bulk of the album marked a significant change for the band. The pair also began to dominate in terms of leadership. The early assumption had been that Ledden and Meisner were veteran musicians, would have a greater influence on the band.
Desperado and Tequila Sunrise are two of my favorite
Oh
Eagles
yeah,
songs.
bangers, man.
And for that album not to chart as high, I mean, today obviously we know those two songs are fucking insanely good, but
Yeah, what I might be skipping ahead right here, but what really made that album actually pop later was Ronstadt actually redid Desperado and re-recorded it, and her version actually popped off, and they actually played it with her a couple times live.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
For their next album, On the Border, Henley and Fry wanted the band to break away from the country rock style and move more towards hard rock. The Eagles initially started with Glenn Johns as the producer for this album, but he tended to emphasize the lush side of their double-edged music. After completing only 2 usable songs, the band turned to Bill, what looks like a Wally Zerbiak type names.
Sismic,
Sismic?
I think. I'm not real sure.
Turned to Bill Shizmic to produce the rest of the album. Shizmic, we're just gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Why can't you just fucking start with Bill instead of Shizmic? Shizmic wanted a harder edged guitarist for the song Good Day in Hell, and the band remembered Bernie Ledden's childhood friend Don Felder, a guitarist who had jammed backstage with the band in 1972 when they opened for Yes in Boston. Felder had been nicknamed Fingers at the jam by Fry, and a name stuck due to his guitar proficiency.
Yeah, and their relationship with Glenn Johns like ended pretty bad. Like he was getting to like he wanted like complete control of like their mixes and stuff, and
Typical fucking.
he had like a real he was just used to recording with like real hard rockers, like Led Zeppelin. Like they talked about how their drummer would hit the drums so hard, and that wasn't Don Henley's style. So they wanted like more mics on the drums, so they had more control in the mix, and they wanted more control of the vocals in the mix. And he was just kind of like, I'm the guy, you know what I mean? Like don't tell me what I need to be doing. And their relationship actually ended pretty bad. They did pay the respect. The new producer actually did call Glenn Johns and asked him if he could record or if he could produce the Eagles, and he said, "Better you than me, mate," and like hung up the phone. So it ended pretty sour with him.
I have to watch that documentary. It's a 3-hour fucking documentary. The documentary we're talking about is what's it called?
The History of the Eagles. It's really one of the best like musical documentaries about a band that I've ever seen. It's really
2-parter, 3.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, definitely. On we go. In January 1974, Frey called Felder to add slide guitar to the song "Good Day in Hell," and the band was so impressed that they invited him to join the group as a fifth Eagle the next day. He appeared on one other song on the album, the up-tempo breakup song "Already Gone," on which he performed a guitar duet with Fry. "Already Gone" was released as the first single from the album, and it reached number 32 on the charts. "On the Border" yielded a number 1 Billboard single, "Best of My Love," which hit the top of the charts on March 1st, 1975. The song was the Eagles' first of 5 chart toppers. The album included a cover version of the Tom Waits song "Old 55" and the single "James Dean," which reached number 77 on the charts, which is kind of crazy because we're right here where James Dean lived when was raised, so it's kind of crazy.
That's an episode that we should do.
James Dean. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about him. Like if you go like out of state, like people really haven't heard of him.
Only like fucking car people and like old like movie heads.
Yeah,
yeah. The band played at the California Jam Festival in Ontario, California on April 6, 1974. Attracting more than 300,000 fans and billed as the Woodstock of the West Coast, the festival featured Black Sabbath, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Deep Purple, Earth, Wind and Fire, Seals and Crofts, Black Oak, Arkansas, and Rare Earth. Portions of the show were telecast on ABC television in the United States, exposing the Eagles to a wider audience. Felder missed the show when he was called away to attend the birth of his son. Jackson Brown filled in for him on piano and acoustic guitar. That would have been a banger ass fucking.
Yeah, I was about to say. I've never heard of a couple of those bands, but I mean
EWF.
Yeah, that'd be like still to this day be somebody great to see. The Eagles released their 4th studio album, One of These Nights, on June 10th, 1975, a breakthrough album for the Eagles, making them international superstars. It was the first in a string of 4 consecutive number 1 albums. The dominant songwriter partnership of Henley and Fry continued on this album. The first single was the title track, which became their second consecutive chart topper. Fry called it his all-time favorite Eagles tune. The second single was "Lying Eyes," which reached number 2 on the charts and won the band their first Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a duo or group with vocal. The final stage, "Take It to the Limit," was written by Meisner, Henley, and Fry, and it is the only Eagles single to feature Meisner on lead vocals.
Was that the song that they opened?
That's actually not right because he's the lead vocal on "Outlaw Man"
The
from the
final single, "Take It to the
Desperado.
Limit," was written
Yeah,
by Meisner, Henley, and Fry.
yeah.
It was only Eagle. Okay.
But the song reached number 4 on the charts, and the band launched a huge worldwide tour in support of the album. The album was nominated for a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. The group was featured on a cover of the September 25th, 1975 issue of Rolling Stone magazine, and on September 28th, the band joined Linda Ronstadt, Jackson Browne, and Toots and the Maytals for the show in front of 55,000 people in Anaheim Stadium.
Mm. One of these nights was their last album to feature founding member Bernie Leadon. Leadon wrote or co-wrote 3 songs for the album, including "I Wish You Peace," written with his girlfriend Patty Davis, who is the daughter of California Governor Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan. Wow. And the instrumental "Journey of the Sorcerer," which would later be used as the theme music for BBC's radio and television versions of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Leadon was disillusioned with the direction of the band's music. Leadon was disillusioned with the direction the band's music was taking and his loss of creative control as the sound was moving from his preferred country to rock and roll. His dissatisfaction, principally with Fry, boiled over one night when Fry was talking animatedly about the direction they should take next, and Leadon poured a beer over Fry's head and said, and I quote, "You need to chill out, man." In December 1975, after months of denials, it was announced that Leadon had left the band.
So that's actually crazy too, because in the documentary, the producer said that it was around the same time they were trying to pick takes from one of the songs they had just recorded. You know, they do so many takes of the whole song, and they're trying to pick which one. So he had asked Bernie, like, "Which one do you think?" And he said, or he asked his opinion. And he said, "I think I'm going surfing," and just left. And that was kind of like the start,
Really?
start of the end right there.
Pretty much like a fuck you to all of them.
Yeah, like, fuck this, I don't care anymore. Leadon's replacement was guitarist and singer Joe Walsh, who had been a friend of the band for some years. He had previously performed with James Gang, Barnstorm, and as a solo artist. He was also managed by Azoff and used
Shizmek, yeah.
as his record producer. There was some initial concern as Walsh's ability to fit in the band, as he was considered too wild for the Eagles, especially by Henley. After the departure of Leadon, the Eagles' early country sound almost completely disappeared, with the band employing a harder sound with the addition of Felder and Walsh. However, Felder also had to play banjo, pedal steel, and mandolin on future tours, something that had previously been Leadon's domain. So that was also kind of the way that they got their new producer, because that led into it. They had brought him on a couple encores on one of their tours, and they were bringing Joe Walsh out like in a guitar case, like a big guitar case. They'd wheel him out on stage, and he'd pop
cool.
out like a model in the cake or whatever.
Just
and
playing the fuck up.
yeah, that's kind of how they like introduced him. Like, hey, this is what it was actually Azoff, their manager. He was like, "This is the sound this is like the sound. This is like the harder sound you guys are looking for," and that kind of like brought both those relationships on.
In early 1976, the band released their first compilation album, Their Greatest Hits, which was from 1971 to 1975. The album became the highest-selling album of the 20th century in the United States, and has since sold 38 million copies in the U.S., excluding streams and tracks, and 42 million copies worldwide. It stayed the biggest seller of all time until it was taken over by Michael Jackson's Thriller, following the artist's death in 2009. The album cemented the group's status as the most successful American band of the decade. People just don't know.
They don't get
like
it.
People sleep on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the thing. Like, you might even like. It's kind of crazy because like even kids now, like, they know Hotel California, like they know all the big hits, but like to really dive into Eagles music, like they didn't miss too often, man. They might have missed a little bit on that second album, but from there on, man, it was just hit after hit.
I can
after
let that
hit.
shit ride out all day long. That's my like. The Eagles and REO Speedwagon are like my go-to grilling music. When I'm out grilling,
Kind of like a similar sound though too.
yeah,
If you think about it, like
yeah.
a similar like soft rock sound. But all right, here we go. The following album, Hotel California, released on December 8th, 1976, was the band's fifth studio album and the first to feature Walsh. The album took a year and a half to complete, a process that, along with touring, drained the band. The album's first single, New Kid in Town, became the Eagles' third #1 single.
The second single was the title track, which topped the charts in May 1977 and became the Eagles' signature song. It features Henley on lead vocals with a guitar duet performed by Felder and Walsh. The song was co-written by Felder, Henley, and Fry. The mysterious lyrics have been interpreted in many ways, some of them controversial. Rumors even started in certain quarters that the song was about Satanism. The rumor was dismissed by the band and later by Henley in a documentary film, History of the Eagles. Henley told 60 Minutes in 2007 that it's basically a song about the dark underbelly of the American dream and about excess in America, which was something we knew about. I've actually watched that interview
Yeah,
on
I think I
60
watched
Minutes,
it too.
and he pretty much, because they were like ruining, you know who Anton LaVey is? He was like the
Yeah, yeah,
big
yeah, yeah.
like
He's
devil
like
worshiper.
the leader of this
Yeah.
Church of Satan or whatever.
Yeah, people were like linking the Eagles to them and shit, and he was like, that's just not true.
Yeah, and you can, if you watch that documentary, you can kind of tell like Don Henley's kind of like a more. Obviously, they had their wild times when they were younger, but as they got older, he was more like conservative compared to like Fry, who was just always like,
Off the fucking,
yeah,
yeah.
a funny guy, like
Yeah.
and also like stood his ground, stood on
Yeah.
business. You know what I'm saying? So,
Stand on business.
yeah, standing on business. But with its hard rock sound, Life in the Fast Lane was also a major success. It established Walsh's position in the band.
I don't mean to stop you, but when Walsh came to the Eagles, dude, they just banger, banger,
Yeah,
banger.
Yeah, bangers after bangers, and it really did give him that edge. Like he was that's what they called him in the documentary. It was like a bona fide rock and roll guitarist, and he gave him that edge too. Like they talked, like there was a huge portion of the documentary where they talked about him like smashing hotel rooms and like just always being off the wall, being like you never know what he's gonna do next.
They're
Like,
probably just looking at him like, what the fuck?
yeah. And that's, they even said that, like, you know, kind of like what I said about Henley being like a little bit more conservative, and you can tell just like watching the interviews, like they said that he didn't really approve of it, but like he got why they did it, and
Yeah.
you know, it helped the band become, you know, step more into that rock spotlight.
You need that type of person.
Yep.
You're on the third and final
Okay.
single.
All right. I'm still lost.
Second line in that.
Okay.
I shouldn't have.
The third and final single from Hotel California, it reached number 11 on the charts. The ballad "Wasted Time" closes the first side of the album, which an instrumental reprise of it opens the second side. The album concludes with "The Last Resort," a song that Fry once referred to as Henley's opus, but which Henley described as fairly pedestrian and never fully realized musically speaking.
The run out groove on side 2 has words, volume is 5-piece live, etched into the vinyl, which means that the instrumental track for the song Victim of Love was recorded live in the studio, with no overdubs. Henley confirms this in the liner notes of the very best of. However, the song was a point of contention between Don Felder and the rest of the band. In the 2013 documentary, Felder claimed that he had been promised the lead vocal on Victim of Love, for which he had written most of the music. After many unproductive attempts to record Felder's vocal, band manager Irving Azoff was delegated to take Felder out for a meal, removing him from the mix while Don Henley overdubbed his lead vocal. That's fucking
Yeah, it was kind of like
grimy
yeah,
shit.
kind of grimy to me.
Hotel California appeared at number 37 on Rolling Stone's list of the best albums of all time, and is the band's best-selling studio album with more than 26 million copies sold in the U.S. alone, and more than 32 million copies worldwide.
I think that's kind of like how he looked at it too, like it was grimy, but like there's one thing you can take from that documentary, that like Henley and Fry wanted like what was best for the band, like never just for themselves.
Dirty
like,
work
and,
type.
and that was kind of like maybe a little selfish on Felder's part, in my opinion, because like even in that documentary, as I keep going back to it, but Fry says like look at how much I sang as the band went farther along. He was like, we had the best voice in rock and roll history, and Don Henley. He was like, I wasn't singing anymore, and that was planned, and that's what needed to happen. So I don't really think it was it was kind of a grimy move to do him like that, but at the same time, it's like, how do you deal with that when a guy's kind of trying to force his way onto
You're
something?
ascending, and that's during the time of Hotel California, you just want to keep ascending. They don't want to fucking take a step back.
Okay. The album won Grammys for Record of the Year, Hotel California, and Best Arrangement for Voices, New Kid in Town. Hotel California topped the charts and was nominated for Album of the Year at the 1978 Grammy Awards, but lost to Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. The huge worldwide tour in support of the album further drained the band's members and strained their personal and creative relationships.
Hotel California and Rumors coming out in the same year.
Bangers.
Oh my. Probably two of the greatest classic rock albums
Yeah, definitely.
ever.
Definitely.
Hotel California is the last album to feature founding member Randy Meisner, who abruptly left the band after the 1977 tour. The Eagles had been touring continuously for 11 months. The band was suffering from a strain of the tour, and Meisner's stomach ulcers had flared up by the time they arrived in Knoxville in June 1977. Meisner had been struggling to hit the crucial high notes in his signature song, Take It to the Limit, and decided to not sing the song as an encore at the Knoxville concert because he had been up late and caught the flu. Fry and Meisner then became enraged in arguments about Meisner's reluctance to perform, which turned into an angry physical confrontation backstage. Meisner left the venue. After the incident, Meisner was frozen out of the band, and he decided to leave the group at the end of the tour to return to Nebraska to be with his family. His last performance was in East Troy, Wisconsin on September 3rd, 1977. The band replaced Meisner with the same musician who had succeeded him in Poco, Timothy B. Schmidt, after agreeing that Schmidt was the only candidate.
Yeah, and they actually talked about, kind of how I said, like, Fry kind of stood on business. Like, they talked about, like, how Randy didn't want to do it because he was up all night partying with a bottle of vodka and had a bunch of girls with him the night before. But also, like, I think it was more just like a psychological thing for him. Like, there's never any talks, there's never like any proof or any documentation out there that he ever missed the note. It was just he kind of got tired of performing it. It was like the pressure to him. Yeah.
Yeah, because people just got to a point where they expected that shit.
Yep, exactly.
You can read the next two since this one's so short.
In 1977, the group, minus Don Felder, performed instrumental work and backing vocals for Randy Newman's album Little Criminals, including Short People, which has backup vocals by Fry and Schmidt. The Eagles went into the recording studio in 1977 to begin work on their next album, The Long Run. The album took 2 years to complete. It was originally intended to be a double album, but the band members were unable to write enough songs. The Long Run was released on September 24th, 1979. Excuse me. Considered a disappointment by some critics. God damn. Time out.
Drink some water, boy. Water.
Trying to get over this cold.
Oh shit! It's gonna be a heartache tonight.
Yeah, that's what this cough is.
Heartache tonight, I know.
Doing the shit where you turn purple and puff.
Let me believe that when me shit turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet.
Jesus. Okay.
Gonna be a heartache tonight. I hate that. Just that one little tickle in your throat. You just can't get fucking rid of it.
All right, we at The Long Run was released on. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, The Long Run was released on September 24th, 1979. Considered a disappointment by some critics for failing to live up to Hotel California, it proved a huge commercial hit nonetheless. The album topped the charts and sold 7 million copies. In addition, it included 3 top 10 singles. Heartache Tonight became their last single to top the Hot 100 on November 10th, 1979. The title track and I Can't Tell You Why both reached number 8. The band won their 4th Grammy for Heartache Tonight. In the City by Walsh and Sad Cafe became live staples. The band also recorded 2 Christmas songs during these sessions, Funky New Year and Please Come Home for Christmas, which released as a single in 1978 and reached number 18 on the charts.
Please Come Home for Christmas is
Really good.
Probably my number 2 on Christmas songs.
And I Can't Tell You Why is like still one of my favorite songs to this day.
Yeah. And
That was like his biggest hit ever.
yeah, to their credit, and I'm going to give them more credit, it's hard to live up to fucking Hotel California.
And that was
That's
kind of leading up to like everything that, how their fall in the late 70s
yeah.
was just leading, just have to constantly beat the last thing they did.
Yeah.
And it was just tough. They put out banger after banger after banger.
Obviously, as time passes, you can look back and they know obviously now that just Hotel California is probably a top 25 song, all genre ever all time.
Yeah, ever. Yeah.
Like it's one of them.
Yeah.
So you're never gonna hit that.
And even so, man, like some people like it said in there that they thought it was a disappointment. I mean, like Heartache Tonight,
Looking back
in the
no.
City, like I've seen them live, bro. In the City was one of the best songs
Yeah.
of the night. Sad Cafe is like a super great song, kind of one that people sleep on that a lot of people really don't know, but super great song, man. Like they didn't miss too much.
No. Fry, Henley, and Schmidt contributed backup vocals for the single release of "Look What You've Done to Me" by Boz Scaggs. Shout out Boz Scaggs. That's
Shout
a
out
name
to him.
drop. That's that low down song.
Yeah.
It's old fucking school shit. A different version with female backing vocals appears on the Urban Cowboy soundtrack. You ever seen that fucking movie? Urban Cowboy with John Travolta? It's the bull riding movie where he fucking so it's a bull riding movie. John Travolta's young. You need to watch that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
He's
check it
young
out.
as fuck. And it's a bull riding competition movie, and it's good, so good.
Never even heard of it. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yep. A different version with the female backing vocals appear on the Urban Cowboy soundtrack, along with the Eagles' 1975 hit "Lion Eyes." Great song.
Great.
I'm gonna read this next one. On July 31st, 1980, in Long Beach, California, tempers boiled over into what has been described as the long night at Wrong Beach. The animosity between Felder and Fry boiled over before the show began, when Felder said, "You're welcome, I guess," to California Senator Alan Cranston's wife as the politician was thanking the band backstage for performing a benefit for his re-election. Fry and Felder spent the entire show telling each other about the beating each planned to administer backstage. "Only 3 more songs until I kick your ass, pal." Fry recalled Felder telling him near the end of the band's set. That's fucking hilarious.
It's all on audio too. Like
Really?
they were saying it like kind of like away from the mic, but you could hear it all. They played it all on the documentary.
No shit.
I swear.
Felder recalls Fry telling him during "The Best of My Love, I'm going to kick your ass when we get off the stage."
There was one point he said, "You're a real class act, Don," and he said, "Yeah, and you are too, and I love the way you handle people, especially people you pay." And he said, "I've been paying your sorry fucking ass for 7 years," or something like that. Like literally, like right into the mics. Yeah. Okay.
That band turmoil ain't no fucking joke.
Yeah,
the greatest bands ever have the biggest turmoil.
Oh yeah, always. And
Yeah.
that it's I've kind of spoke on it before, even about like making my music. Like a lot of people are too worried about the competition, like being against people instead of like working together.
That's kind of like, I don't want to get too off track, but like Def Leppard, that's kind of like why I love them so much too, because they never had fucking drama like that. I don't know why. They never had fucking drama like that, and they're one of the greatest ever. Fucking.
And that's like I think it even led to the point to where like all of them were beefing, like Fry and Don Henley, who pretty much formed the group and were best of friends.
They're just around each other for that fucking long.
It's like fighting
dude.
with your brothers, man. Eventually, you're gonna punch your brother in the face. You guys love each other, later down the road. It appeared to be the end of the Eagles, but the band still had a commitment with Elektra Records to make a live record from the tour. Eagles Live, released in November 1980, was mixed on the opposite coast. Fry had already left the band and would remain in Los Angeles, while other band members each worked on their parts in Miami. "We were fixing 3-part harmonies, courtesy of Federal Express," said producer Bill
S.
Fry refused to speak to the other Eagles, and he fired Irving Azoff as his manager, with credits that listed 5 attorneys. The album's liner notes simply said, "Thank you and good night." A single released from the album, Seven Bridges Road, had been a live concert staple for the band. It was written by Steve Young in an arrangement created by Lane Matthews for his Valley High album in 1973. The song reached number 21 on the charts in 1980, becoming the Eagles' last top 40 single until 1994.
Damn. I didn't know Fry is the one who fired fucking Irving. Mm. After the Eagles broke up, the former members pursued solo careers. Elektra, the band's longtime record label, initially owned the rights to solo albums created by the members of the Eagles. Walsh had established himself as a solo artist in the 1970s, but it was uncharted waters for the others. Walsh released a successful album in 1981, There Goes the Neighborhood, but subsequent albums throughout the 1980s were less well received. During this period, Walsh performed as a session musician for Dan Fogelberg, Steve Winwood, John Entwistle, Richard Marx, and Emerson and Lake Palmer. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer, among others, and produced and co-wrote Ringo Starr's Old Wave album. He was on some shit.
Okay, here we are.
Henley.
Henley achieved commercial solo success. In 1981, he sang a duet with Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, Leather and Lace. In 1982, he released I Can't Stand Still, featuring the hit Dirty Laundry. The next album, Building the Perfect Beast, in 1984, featured The Boys of Summer, a Billboard #5 hit. All She Wants to Do Is Dance, #9, Not Enough Love in the World, #34, and Sunset Grill, #22. Henley's next album, The End of Innocence, 1989, was also a major success. It included The End of the Innocence, The Last Worthless Evening, and The Heart of the Matter. His solo career was cut short due to a contract dispute with the record company, which was finally resolved when the Eagles reunited in 1994.
I haven't listened much of Henley's solo shit.
So this is one thing we didn't mention. Geffen actually sold his company to Warner Brothers, so they lost their publishing for a long time, and they finally got it back. Well, then when Henley went solo, he actually fell for the same kind of line of bullshit that Geffen gave him originally and signed with him again. So that's actually who he had the dispute with in the 80s.
Yeah. Where am I at here? Okay. Former music writer Cameron Crowe had written articles about Poco and the Eagles during his journalism career. In 1982, his first screenplay was produced as the feature-length movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The film was co-produced by Eagles manager Azoff, who also co-produced the soundtrack album released by Elektra. Henley, Walsh, Schmidt, and Felder all contributed solo songs to the film's soundtrack.
Skipped a paragraph.
Okay. Well, I'll go to that one. The band playing at the dance toward the end of the movie covers the Eagles song Life in the Fast Lane. Okay, let me go back to this top one. Fry achieved solo success in the 1980s. In 1982, he released his first album, No Fun Allowed, which spawned the #15 hit, The One You Love. The All Nighter in 1984 featured the #20 hit Sexy Girl. He reached #2 on the charts with The Heat Is On from the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack. I know that song.
He did.
Yeah. He had another #2 single in 1985 with You Belong to the City from the Miami Vice soundtrack, which featured another Fry song, Smuggler's Blues. He appeared as Jimmy in the episode titled after the song and contributed riffs to the episode soundtrack. He also contributed the songs Flip City to Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack and Part of Me, Part of You to the soundtrack Thelma and Louise.
He was actually also in Jerry Maguire.
Yep. Thelma and Louise is a good-ass fucking movie.
Oh, yeah. So you already did the next one then.
Yep.
All right. Felder released a solo album and contributed 2 songs to the soundtrack of the movie Heavy Metal, Taking a Ride, with Henley and Schmidt providing backing vocals. And All of You, he also...
Time to Wake Up.
Yeah, Time to Wake Up. With Henley and Schmidt providing backup vocals. And All of You, he also had a minor hit, Bad Girls, off his solo album Airborne. Schmidt had a prolific solo career after the band's initial breakup. He had a hit song on the Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack with So Much in Love. He contributed vocals to the Crosby, Stills, and Nash album Daylight Again on the songs Southern Cross and Wasted on the Way. When the band needed an extra vocalist due to David Crosby's drug overindulgence, Schmidt sang backup vocals on Toto 4 album, including the song I Won't Hold You Back, and appeared with the group on the 1982 European tour. He spent 3 years from 1983 to 1985 as a member of Jimmy Buffett's Coral Reefer Band. He had a top 40 solo hit in 1987 with Boys Night Out and a top 30 adult contemporary hit with Don't Give Up, both from his album Timothy B. Schmidt. Oh, I've messed that up. Both from his album. Timothy B. Schmidt appeared with Meisner and Walsh on Richard Marx's debut single, Don't Mean Nothing. In 1992, Schmidt and Walsh toured as members of Ringo Starr's All-Star Band and appeared on the live video from the Montreux Jazz Festival. Schmidt released 2 solo albums, Playing It Cool in 1984 and Tell Me the Truth in 1990. He was the only Eagle to appear on the 1993 Eagles tribute album Common Thread, the songs of the Eagles singing backing vocals on Vince Gill's cover of I Can't Tell You Why.
Vince Gill. Meisner hit the top 40 3 times, including the number 19 Hearts on Fire in 1981. An Eagles country tribute album titled Common Thread, The Songs of the Eagles was released in 1993, 13 years after the breakup. Travis Tritt insisted on having the long run era Eagles in his video for Take It Easy, and they agreed. Following years of public speculation, the band formally reunited the following year. The lineup comprised the 5 long-run era members, Fry, Henley, Walsh, Felder, and Schmidt, supplemented by Scott Crago, who was on the drums, John Carey, who was on the keyboards, guitar, backing vocals, Timothy Drury, who was on keyboards, guitar, backing vocals, and former Loggins and Messing sideman Al Garth, who was on the saxophone and violin on stage.
Shout out to them. And they talked about that. Azoff actually put that album together and wasn't really trying to get them back together, but he was waiting for the, kind of like the reunion, them getting around each other and getting the urge to.
He just knew it was going to happen.
He kind of knew it was going to happen. He wasn't necessarily trying to, is what he said, but he was waiting for it to happen at the same time. Okay. For the record, we never broke up. We just took a 14-year vacation, said Fry at their first live performance in April 1994. One of the 2 shows performed to record a live album and a companion MTV special, both titled Hell Freezes Over, named for Henley's reoccurring statement that the group would get back together when hell freezes over. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard album chart, included 4 new studio songs with Get Over It and Love Will Keep Us Alive, both becoming top 40 hits. The album proved successful, selling 6 million copies in the USA.
I thought it was fucking...
Love Will Keep Us Alive is such a good song.
Yeah. The band subsequently embarked on a tour in 1994, which was interrupted in September because of Fry's serious reoccurrence of diverticulitis. That's such a hard word to say.
Yeah.
But it resumed back in 1995 and continued into 1996. In 1998, the Eagles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For the induction ceremony, all 7 Eagle members, Fry, Henley, Felder, Walsh, Schmidt, Led, and Meisner, played together for 2 songs, Take It Easy and Hotel California. Man, I gotta fucking watch that.
Oh, it's so good. I've watched it before. Yeah.
Several subsequent reunion tours followed without Led and Meisner, notable for their record-setting ticket prices. I'm surprised they didn't go with them on the fucking reunion tour.
Yeah.
Led must have been on that shit. They both fucking had bad blood with him.
Yeah. He actually seemed kind of like a lot more humble in the documentary. Like he kind of was, he was regretful of kind of the way he acted when stuff went the way it went. But
yeah.
The Eagles performed at Mandalay Bay Events Center in Las Vegas on December 28th and 29th, 1999. Followed by a concert at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on December 31st. These concerts marked the last time Felder played with the band, and the shows, including a planned video release, would later form a part of a lawsuit filed by Felder against the former bandmates. The concert recordings were released on CD as part of a 4-disc Selected Works 1972 through 1999 box set in November 2000. Along with the concert, this set included the band's hit single, album tracks, and outtakes from the long-run sessions. Selected Works received platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America in 2002. The group resumed touring in 2001 with a lineup consisting of Fry, Henley, Walsh, and Schmidt, along with Stuart Smith, guitar, mandolin, and keyboard, backing vocals, essentially taking over Felder's role. Michael Thompson, keyboard and trombone, Will Hollis, keyboards, backing vocals, Scott Crago on drums and percussion, Bill Armstrong horns, Al Garth on sax and violin, Christian Mostert on sax, and Greg Smith, sax and percussion.
It's just insane how many different band members they went through.
Yeah.
It's almost like as long as you had Henley, Walsh, and fucking Fry, you got them.
Yeah, and their live performances are so good. Like when they did Hotel California, when I seen them, like they had a whole
Fucking
what's like
an orchestra or something.
Yeah, like a brass section, bro.
Yeah.
Like it was. I didn't even know that's what they were doing. Like they came in and like this dude was like playing like because it's kind of like a Spanish kind of sounding song. And they came out and he played like a
an
solo,
intro?
like an intro to it with a trumpet, and it was so fire, bro.
Yeah.
They went nuts when when everybody finally realized what it was.
Hotel California.
Yeah.
You could probably watch that on.
We'll have to go, bro. Like I think they'll be coming to
go.
Indy. They always go to Indy.
You just let me know when tickets go.
Yeah.
On February 6, 2001, Don Felder was fired from the Eagles. Well, he responded by filing 2 lawsuits against the Eagles Ltd., a California corporation. Don Henley, an individual, Glenn Fry, an individual, and Does 150, alleging wrongful termination, breach of implied and fact contract, and breach of fiduciary duty, reportedly seeking $50 million in damages. Bag chasing.
Yeah.
Felder alleged that from the 1994 Hell Freezes Over tour onward, Henley and Frey had, and I quote, insisted that they each receive a higher percentage of the band's profits, whereas the money had previously been split in 5 equal portions. Felder accused them of coercing him into signing an agreement under which Henley and Fry would receive 3 times as much as the selected works 1972 from 1999 proceeds.
I mean, you got to kind of look at the workload, though. Like,
it's true.
I'm not saying that they deserve 3 times as much, but at the end of the day, they wrote.
I felt like Walsh should have probably got a little bit of a bag too.
Yeah.
I mean, Henley was on that little fucking sneak shit though, like we talked about.
Like it. Yeah, it seems like he's trying to kind of portray like this great guy sometimes, and then kind of doing some like snake shit. Yeah. On behalf of Henley and Fry's attorney, Daniel M. Petroselli responded by saying Henley and Fry felt creatively, chemistry-wise, and performance-wise that he should no longer be a part of the band. They removed him, and they had every legal right to do so. This has been happening with rock and roll bands since day one. Henley and Fry then countersued Felder for breach of contract, alleging that Felder had written a tell-all book, Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles, 1974 through 2001.
Is that true? Did he write that shit?
I have no clue. I never heard that one.
I'd like to fucking read some fucking inserts of that shit.
I'd like to read that and see what his little side of it.
On January 23rd, 2002, the Los Angeles County Superior Court consolidated the 2 complaints, set a trial date for September 2006, and the single case was dismissed on May 8th, 2007, after being settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Bro got fucking...
He got a bag.
He got a bag.
They're like, shut the hell up, bro.
In 2003, the Eagles released a greatest hits album, The Very Best Of. The 2-disc compilation was the first that encompassed their entire career from the Eagles' Eagles to Hell Freezes Over. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard charts and eventually gained triple platinum status. The album included a new single, the September 11th attacks theme, Hole in the World. In 2003, Warren Zevon, a longtime Eagles friend, began work on his final album, The Wind, with the assistance of Henley, Walsh, and Schmidt.
On June 14, 2005, the Eagles released a new 2-DVD set, Farewell 1 tour live from Melbourne, featuring 2 new songs, Fry's No More Cloudy Days and Walsh's One Day at a Time. A special edition 2006 release, exclusive to Walmart and affiliated stores, includes a bonus audio CD with 3 new songs that were to appear on their upcoming studio album, No More Cloudy Days, Fast Company, and Do Something. I'll read the next one. The initial U.S. release of Felder's book was canceled after publisher Hyperion Books backed out in September 2007 when an entire print run of the book had to be recalled for cuts and changes. The book was published in the United Kingdom on November 1st, 2007. The American edition was published by John Wiley & Sons on April 28, 2008, with Felder embarking on a full publicity campaign surrounding its release.
Excuse me, I was fucking... accidentally
kind of seems like he just got blackballed and everybody just didn't want it. They're like, no, we're out.
It's like, no,
you're not the guy.
No. In 2007, the Eagles consisted of Fry, Henley, Walsh, and Schmidt. On August 20th, 2007, How Long, written by J.D. Souther, was released as a single to radio with an accompanying online video at Yahoo Music. Shout out Yahoo
Shout
Music.
out.
It debuted on television, on country music television, on, on August 23rd, 2007. The band had performed the song as part of their live sets in the early to mid 1970s, but did not record it at the time because of Souther wanted to reserve it for use on his first solo album. Souther had previously worked with the Eagles, co-writing some of their biggest hits, including "Best of My Love," "Victim of Love," "Heartache Tonight," and "New Kid in Town."
On October 30th, 2007, the Eagles released Long Road Out of Eden, their first album of all new material since 1979. For the first year after the album's release, it was available in the U.S. only via the band's website at Walmart and Sam's Club stores. It was commercially available through traditional retail outlets in other countries. The album debuted at number 1 in the U.S., the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Netherlands, and Norway. It became their third studio album and seventh release overall to be certified at least 7 times platinum by the RIAA. Henley told CNN that this is probably the last Eagles album that we'll ever make.
On January 28th, 2008, the second single of Long Road Out of Eden was released. Busy Being Fabulous peaked at number 28 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Song Chart and at number 12 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Adult Contemporary Tracks Chart. The Eagles won their 5th Grammy in 2008 in the category Grammy Award for Best Country Performance by a duo or group with vocals for How Long. I'll read the next one.
Okay.
In February 2013, the Eagles released a career-spanning documentary called History of the Eagles and began the supporting tour with 11 U.S. arena concerts in July. Henley said that the tour, which expanded internationally and continued until July 2015, could very well be our last. We're going to include at least one former band member in this tour and kind of got to go back to the roots and how we created some of the songs. We're going to break it down to the fundamentals and then take it up where it is now. Original Eagles guitarist Bernie Leadon also appeared on the tour. Walsh stated, "Bernie's brilliant. I've never really got a chance to play with him, but we've been in contact. We see him from time to time, and I'm really glad he's coming because it's going to take the show up a notch. And I'm really looking forward to playing with him, finally." Former members Randy Meisner and Don Felder did not appear. No fucking shit. Felder just sitting there chilling with a bag of money. Meisner had been invited but could not participate for health reasons, while Felder was never asked. Though his lawsuits against the Eagles were settled in 2007, Henley claimed that Felder continued to engage in legal action of one kind or another against the band, but did not state what those actions were.
The Eagles, Fry, Henley, Walsh, and Smith, were slated to receive Kennedy Center honors in 2015, but this was deferred in 2016 due to Fry's health problems. On January 18, 2016, founding member Glenn Fry died at the Columbia University Medical Center in New York City at the age of 67. The causes of his death were rheumatoid arthritis, acute ulcerative colitis, and pneumonia while recovering from intestinal surgery. At the 58th Annual Grammy Awards in February, the Eagles, joined by Leadon touring guitarist Stuart Smith and co-writer Jackson Browne, performed "Take It Easy" in honor of Fry. In a subsequent interview, Henley stated that he didn't think the band would perform again.
Despite Henley's statements the previous year, the band continued on and headlined the Classic West and Classic East concert in July 2017, which were organized by their manager, Irving Azoff. Glenn Fry's son, Deacon, performed in his father's place, along with the country musician Vince Gill. At the Classic West concert, the band was joined by Bob Seger, who sang "Heartache Tonight," which he co-wrote. The band then continued to tour in the fall of the U.S. The first and only studio recording by the band without Glenn Fry to date was the released in autumn 2017, a cover of Dan Fogelberg's "Part of the Plan" for the album, a tribute to Dan Fogelberg.
Further touring occurred again in North America with Gill and Deacon Fry, beginning in March 2018. This is the tour I went to. Henley's son Will joined the touring band as a guitarist for the run of the shows. The band also toured Europe and Oceania in early 2019. The first live release of the new lineup came in 2020 when the footage of the band's 2018 leg was released as a concert TV special on ESPN, with the soundtrack released in October. The first live release without Glenn Frey. A live album of the concert, live from the Forum, whatever the hell that is, was released in October 2020. The band performed their 1976 album Hotel California in its entirety during the 3 concerts at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada in October 2019. September and October, my bad. The shows also included another set of the band's greatest hits. The lineup included a 46-piece orchestra and a 22-voice choir. Following the Las Vegas shows, the band announced the Hotel California 2020 tour to take place in 6 cities between February 7th and April 18th, 2020. After just 10 shows in early 2020, the remainder of the Hotel California tour was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The tour resumed in 2021 with North American dates spanning August to November. The band then announced the tour would continue in 2022, with dates in both the U.S. and Europe. On April 6, 2022, the band announced on their Facebook page that Deacon Fry was leaving the group in order to pursue a solo career. Fry was since guest with the band on numerous occasions, starting in June of that year.
On July 6, 2023, the band announced their farewell tour. The Long Goodbye Tour to commence on September 7th, 2023 at New York's Madison Square Garden, with Deacon Fry again joining the band.
Later, like we missed it.
Do what?
Said it looks like we missed it.
Right. Later that month, on July 26, founding bassist Randy Meisner died at the age of 77 from complications related to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. In a joint press statement confirming the news, the band described Meisner as an integral part of the Eagles and instrumental in the early success of the band. In a 2022 interview with Louder Sound, Timothy B. Smith said it was highly unlikely the band would record a follow-up to 2007's Long Road Out of Eden, stating, "I sincerely doubt it. We toured behind our last album, Long Road Out of Eden, and put it in 5 to 7 of those songs. But we don't do them anymore because there wasn't a big reaction. When people come to see the Eagles, they want to hear Best of My Love, One of These Nights, all these things, so we give it to them." So, if you made it through this entire thing, thank you.
Yeah, and we hope you learned something because, like we said at the beginning of the episode, there is a lot of history with the Eagles spanning decades, man. So
Decades.
Do yourself a favor if you don't know much about the Eagles. Listen to this podcast. Go do your homework, man. Listen to all their albums.
There's not many podcasts out there that cover the Eagles.
No, there's not. So
timeless music.
Yeah, definitely tap into this episode and go and find your favorite song by the Eagles, man. Give us some feedback. Let us know in the comments, all that stuff, man.
Yep. Next week, just me and G again. We're gonna, without giving it away, we're getting into some old school mafia.
We got some more hot fire coming.
So. Yep, old school mafia shit. See you guys.
Peace.
Stars in the southern sky.